lot of things happening in Web3. We'll get into some immersive experiences that may surprise you a bit, and it's all going to happen around Avalanche. So stay tuned right here. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Speaking of immersive experiences, you guys have to visit Wilder World because this is one of, if not the most immersive racing experience in Web3. Check it out. Just go over to wilderworld.com. And we want to thank them so much for being a sponsor of the show. And, you know, the more I see Web3 gaming, the more I see AI integration, the more I see this kind of experience, this gives me hope that we are going to see a massive shift going forward in terms of Web3 gaming in the future. So it's a good one. Check it out, wilderworld.com. Let's lead off today. I want to go over to the first story. Japanese gaming giant Konami chooses Avalanche for the Resella NFT platform. Now, there's a couple of points within this. If you look at one of the releases, they talked about the use of NFTs. Let me kind of zoom in on this for you guys a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. The use of NFTs between multiple services, all of this is going to be happening within Ava Labs. So Konami Resella, the NFT solution on Avalanche, launches July 5th. They're also talking about on and around that same time is getting ready to do these events to talk about how these are going to be rolling out. So big news there with Konami. Kudos to what Avalanche is doing. If you look at the Resella NFT Marketplace, you can kind of see a little bit of how this is going to be integrated within some of the biggest games that are out there within these kinds of culture areas. I want to jump to a clip real quick. And one of the things that we always look at is where are these immersive experiences going to come from? Well, here's a clip right here that will take it to the next level for you. Take a look.
The streaming giant just revealed its plans to open Netflix House, a physical location with immersive experiences for visitors to shop, eat, and play in the worlds of its most popular titles. It's an idea Netflix has been experimenting with for years, opening temporary pop-up shops across the country. It comes as interest in immersive entertainment is booming. Pop-ups are going viral on social media and sending fans into a frenzy with new ways to experience the things they love.
Will it matter to their core business?
It's a good idea on their part. I think people want experience. The experiential economy is soaring.
But you also have a huge announcement in China. You're partnering with Wanda Film. That's China's largest exhibitor.
Wanda is owned by a company named Rui, which has a big position by Tencent. And you know, Tencent does League of Legends, Riot Games. So it's not only the theater deal, but it's also the proximity to a content provider that I think is going to help us expand our platform.
All right, so as you guys know, here on our show, we cover a lot in these XR areas. When you look at whether it's augmented reality, VR, these mixed reality spaces, and a lot of this kind of entertainment levels that I think are going to really start leveling up for consumers, this bleeds right into the future of Web3 blockchain and how all this is going to integrate. They talked a little bit about Tencent and the fact that they're also launching these immersive experiences. Take a look at this clip. All right, so if you're listening in on the podcast side of things, make sure and jump over here to the YouTube channel. You'll get a chance to see what we just looked at there, which is really a revolution. If you look at the next generation of consumers, mostly Gen A and also Gen Z, a lot of this kind of integration is going to be almost required. It's going to be table stakes going forward for almost every brand you can imagine, whether it's in food service, entertainment, fashion, gaming, sports. This is where we are going. And I think this is the thing that we have to pay attention to. And when you look at that and where the market could be going, this tweet kind of sums it up. Spatial computing is taking off. This was at the event AWE Expo. And one thing I wanted to focus in on this right here, the XR market 2024, 35 billion. Look at the names right there. The race is on. Meta, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Sony, Samsung, NVIDIA, Amazon, all of these starting to tie into the future of where consumer technology, blockchain, and these experiential components start to intersect. This, I believe, is really kind of the next tech evolution that we will see going forward. AWE 2024 really got into this a little bit deeper. We've got a clip for you. Listen in.
This is actually from a multi-viewer application that a bunch of F1 lover developers actually developed open source and put it out there to the world for people to be able to watch the F1 experience, outside of the F1 app itself. The next setup that I am going to show that we've been working on in-house at the office, if you have a setup like this where you can socialize with your people that you like to consume this type of content, at the same time give an opportunity for other brands that are involved within that content itself to kind of push their content through. I'm thinking this could become the birth child of Netflix and YouTube and Twitch and kind of everything kind of combined. We talked about the importance of data and people, the way they want to consume content, being able to see a track map, and then switch to a game mode with the 21st driver. If you wanted to drive in that same event and you want to switch from AR to VR, you have a single headset that allows you to do all of this stuff.
Basically copy what Darren did, for the Gran Turismo movie.
All right, so one of the things, as you saw there, is when you get an experiential environment like that, the idea is, how do you monetize it? How do you put in ads? Because those, in most cases, like every 2D, ad network out there, including if you're looking at YouTube right now, you'll see an ad that's played before something. That's not going to necessarily work in this kind of environment. So this is an example of how maybe ads will work going forward. Take a look.
The streaming platform's executives reportedly in talks to possibly introduce ads and microtransactions in its games. That's according to the Wall Street Journal.
It grows to an entire market of around 600 billion globally by 2032. So again, we understand why they are wanting to play in this particular market. The biggest thing is that it's a highly competitive marketplace, and if I can have more fun with less interruption on a different platform, then that's where users will tend to go. So the question is, what does the interruption look like? You're only looking for entertainment value when it comes to gaming as it is. And so if it becomes more of a distraction or a disruption in the experience I'm trying to enjoy, then obviously the adoption rate will reflect that.
Notice how they mentioned a couple of things here. One, microtransactions, that will lead its way into blockchain, especially if we get into scenarios where digital assets become a component of these kinds of experiences. That's NFTs. The other thing that he's talking about is the growth pickup and the ability to be able to do advertising and some sort of monetization program without invading in on the experience itself. That's going to be the nature of the successful ones in the future. All right, so here's a tweet showing a little bit of the integration with Avalanche and Netflix, partnered with a company called Feature. And it shows a little bit of how this might look in the future. And there's an upgrade earned. Imagine if this is those microtransactions, NFTs, a certain level that you've been able to do within the game and these immersive experiences. This is exactly how the potential for monetization could happen. All right, so here's Lollipop, which is the Feature company, and we've got a clip coming from them, but presented by, guess what, Mobile One. And if you look further into it, there's an NFT right there, all integrated into the experience. So this is the kind of thing I think we'll see more of, that will be more passive, but very effective on how monetization will be part of these programs in the future. Let's go over to a clip, because this was an interview we did that kind of broke down some of this of where the future is going. Take a look. Did you think it would be as big as this?
This smashed our expectations. Now, it was worth noting that the QR codes were actually the first broadcast QR codes within Netflix content. So it wasn't expected to actually perform that well, because people really had to be looking out for the QR codes. And then there was also an activation in IRL. So we had a billboard in Times Square and a billboard in Los Angeles that allowed for people to mint. But it definitely exceeded our expectations. I think around now it's about 100 million eyeballs that have touched upon this project. And then, if you look at Netflix's subscription base, it's about half of Netflix's subscription.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And because we're adding the third dimension of augmented reality or virtual reality. It's really allowing us to become a part of the story. Through digital collectibles, that's where you add the extra layer of dimension, where if I own that digital collectible, can that be the lead character? Or can I interact with the characters from the series leveraging AI and ML? And the community has to come together to unlock the next episode.
This has been working for quite some time. And I think as you see the evolution of XR and just in general, what we're seeing kind of on the future of whether it's Meta or even Apple to a certain extent of what they're doing, this is kind of the next step out there. And the blockchains that are going to be integrating this are going to be the ones that I think win in very big ways. Here's another example of this, because this is going to get into NFTs, and this is Quest 3's Augments, heavily delayed. Meta had to go back to the drawing board. Now, these kind of look pretty good as it is right now, if you kind of look at some of the art here, but there was a statement that they made that I thought was pretty impressive. We're not going to ship anything we're not excited about, and we did a restart on the clock, and this is going to take a little bit longer than we hope to deliver, meaning they think it's going to be better than what they're already delivering. That is impressive, because what we've seen so far, because I think a lot of people will expect certain levels, kind of V1s, especially in this space, to not necessarily be over the top. I think Meta's trying to really level up the game. Are they trying to leapfrog what Apple has been trying to get to, and they're already there? That's a big question going forward. I want to go to another clip here, because this gets into Palmer Luckey. This is the creator of Oculus, and really the vision of what VR would be, talking a little bit more about the future. Take a look.
And it's kind of crazy how far we've come. I mean, I think people don't understand how far things have come, where you're able to ship. There we go. So this thing weighs barely over 100 grams. It's a third of the weight. It is 20 times as many pixels. Sometimes when people say, oh man, it seems like VR is not really moving, it seems like it's kind of stuck in time, that's how I know that they're not in the VR industry. Because if you're in the VR industry, you know, dude, you can buy a headset, it's 20 times higher resolution, and it's only been 10 years. I mean, you had, like, Oculus Quest sold almost 20 million units in 1 year. That's better sales than the Nintendo 64 was getting during its very best year of sales ever. That's better than the first 2 years of iPhone sales managed to pull by a lot. It's just, could you imagine if you had told people, yo, yeah, there's gonna be 20 million people buying a VR headset, and the media is going to consider that a failure. You couldn't have built that if that was the first thing that you built. You were able to do it because you already had trustworthiness, a network, also money coming in to help you do it from something that actually made sense.
There's also a huge user base now in the VR industry that wasn't there a long time ago. So if you build something interesting, you could build a massive business off of it.
Yeah, I always love listening to Palmer Luckey. First, he gets very excited, and I think when you look at this transition, this is an argument I make a lot in business today when I talk to Fortune 500 companies, and what I tell them is there's a transition happening right now. And what I mean by that is the demographic shift that we are experiencing here in the US, really around the world, is starting to shift to a generation that is expecting this kind of thing. Much like my generation expected mobile computing and social, the next generation is blockchain, AI, and XR. Those are the three technologies that will revolutionize the front. Now, if you take a look at this, NVIDIA propels the AI crypto phase, tokens to market leadership. This is the thing I think that many people kind of forget, is that what's happening within blockchain is all being driven by some of, especially on the AI side, is being driven by some of this technology, obviously being led by NVIDIA going out. So this is all tied together. Crypto, blockchain, and XR, this is going to be the holy grail of it. And the projects that are able to connect those pieces are the projects you want to pay attention to, which is why we think Avalanche is a big one. Here's, of course, the CEO over at Roblox. He's talking a little bit more about his new 3D race car. All right, so they just dropped this today. Let me just play a clip from it. All right, so one thing to be note of is, if you guys remember our interview with Aaron McDonald not too long ago, this, of course, got into an existing discussion about this very thing, and that is companies in blockchain already making this happen. So here was his statement right here. No accident that Atom Car Club and Racers is built like this with each tradable component. Example, Boeing, meaning that Web3 is already on it. We see the movement now with Roblox. You start to see the picture here. Everything is starting to merge together. Eventually, we will see this occur. And I think it's happening much faster than people expect. All right, so just jumping to Avalanche here, the mainnet, you can kind of see a little bit here of what's happening out there, Meld, et cetera. Many of the projects that we've talked about here on the channel. You look further into this, Pulsar, remember, was the leading subnet within Avalanche, had exploded onto the scene. We've had the Pulsar team on talking about this right here, but all right now, starting to raise a little bit of money, dealing with these kind of things. And I think that's the big factor here is what is going to be the cost on these kind of scenarios, because these transaction numbers are starting to really kind of explode. All right, jumping over to the testnet, just to kind of give you an example, there's Pulsar right there leading the way. And guess what else? We've got one right here. Don't necessarily know what this one is. We tried to research it out, but look at the level of transactions in a short period of time. That's almost 14 million. I don't know if you guys can see that right there, almost 14 million transactions in that period. This is significant. Now, granted, there's always been, I shouldn't say always, but there has been the question of cost. And how does this scale? This is one of the things we've talked about with the Avalanche team and many of the projects out here. So this is the historical upfront cost to be a P-chain validator right now. As you can see, kind of pricey, especially as the price of Avalanche starts to go up, but there is a solution. All right, jumping over to this tweet right here by Blockworks Research, is talking a little bit more about this pay-as-you-go subnet concept, which is through ACP 77. This hasn't been voted on yet in past, but take a look at what this will do in terms of cost. Pay-as-you-go Avalanche subnet, you can kind of see the variation there, starts to normalize this. This will start to become even more effective than Ethereum, Celestia, and Cosmos. So again, Avalanche starting to lead the way with all of this. Now, John Wu, he's been on our show many, many times, and he's got a good statement right here that talks a little bit more about where subnets are going. Now that we've got this kind of scalability, you've got the demand and the partnerships, what's next? Take a look at this clip.
Whatever immersive experience you're having in Web 2, whether it's an AR, VR type experience to mobile to first-person shooter, it can be enhanced in a Avalanche subnet. They want to see the launch of some of these big games. It's all on track. Anything that's not on track is because, again, Web 2 game development always gets delayed. It's like making a movie. We are really getting ready for what I call subnet fall. That's not going to be the real name. I don't know what that will be translated into. But basically, right? There's a lot of technology being done right now. The ability to have a one-click launch of a self-sovereign blockchain that has 100,000 TPS, and each one of these subnets are interoperable with others. That vision, that completion, this is what Dr. Eamon Gunseer, the founder, CEO of Avalanche, has always been talking about, is ready by the end of the summer, early fall. There will be some sort of explosion in that. Get ready for the fall, because the technology behind this and the business development partnerships with players in different verticals are all happening and ready to launch big in the fall.
All right, so what is John talking about? So he's talking about the partnerships. So obviously that kind of outlines the scenario with Netflix. You look at these immersive experiences, what we've seen here and talked about today. All of this could be lining up for a huge explosion, and maybe, just maybe, Netflix is going to do a big announcement here tied with Avalanche coming in the fall around this timing. So we're going to watch this very closely. Obviously, Avalanche is one of these projects that we keep a very close eye on because of the advancements of technology and also the trends, as I said, in the three main areas, blockchain, AI, and XR. Those are the three that I think coming together, Avalanche could be a big winner. Make sure and stay tuned right here on the channel for more content like this. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I ask you that you do that right now. Whether you're brand new to Web3, you're brand new to crypto, this is a channel for you. Just hit that little subscribe and make sure and click the bell. You'll get a live stream notification when we do that. Also, follow me on X @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.